This very short video accompanies the pattern in the spring 2021 issue of Cast On for the Peonies top. And in it, because it's knit sideways, in order to shape the neck and the armholes, you need to cast on stitches at the end of a row. And there are two techniques I like to use for this cast on. One is the knit on cast on, and the other one is the cable cast on. Either one will work. I tend to use the knitted cast on for this because it's a little less thick, but I want to show you both and then you can decide. So to do the knitted cast on, you go into the stitch just as if you're going to knit. You wrap the yarn around, but instead of keeping it on the right needle, you just shift it over to the left needle. Now I've got two stitches, and notice that it leaves a bit of a gap here. That's just part of it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to do another couple. Knit it. Instead of keeping it on that needle, I place it on this needle. And I'm paying some attention to which way that I put it on there. If I put it on this way, the stitch will be twisted. Not a big deal since it's just the cast on. But if I put it on in the other direction, if I have the front leg here, then it's going to position the stitch properly. Do another one, and I'm going to watch, and there we go. Now I'm going to work back real quick. And we'll use the cable cast on at the other end. And you can see that it's kind of a loopy, loose cast on. That's a very, very, very stretchy cast on, which if you're doing a project where you need a not so attractive cast on, but a very loopy one, it does work. Now, for this one, we're going to do it on the wrong side because I'm too lazy to knit all the way back. And this is the cable cast on. Now, instead of inserting the needle into the stitch, you insert the needle between the last stitch and the next stitch in, and you wrap, and you do the same thing. You put it on the needle. And this is where you don't want to be too tight, because if I pull this too tight, I'm not going to be able to get my needle in between those two stitches. So what I do is I kind of make sure that I've got my needle in there, then I pull tight. Pull the stitch up, put it over, put it up and over, and I just repeat that for the number of stitches that I need. Now in the Peonies pattern, in some case you're just going to be adding one stitch, but in order to shape the armholes you're going to be adding 58, I think. Well, no, 20. So you do want to practice this. Now on this case, this is on the wrong side, so I'm going to go ahead and purl these stitches, and then we can compare what the two cast on edges look like. Now the cable cast on, what am I doing here? Oops, sorry. The cable cast on produces a very, very tight and not stretchy at all edge. I like to use it for one row horizontal buttonholes because it's not going to stretch out over time like other, the E cast on or the knitted on cast on. All right, and I'm going to work down to here, and then we can compare. But for this top, you can use either. Because I'm going to be picking up a band along those armhole and neckline edges where I add those stitches, I tend to use the knitted on cast on. But if you want it to be firmer, go ahead and use the cable. So we're almost done. And here we go, and now we can compare. Now you can see that where I used the knitted on, it's very loopy. But as I said, we're going to be picking up a band on that edge, and so I'm going to be picking up the stitches in there, and so it doesn't really matter. Over here is the cable cast on, and you can see it does not stretch much at all. It's pretty inelastic. So those are the two choices that you have for this top.